Willie D in a little bit of hot water, man. Like I said, I know he don't care. But
Willie D gave me one of my best pieces of advice, though, that I live by to this day.
What'd he say?
Bald-headed nose.
No, he said,
Wow.
He said, if you got a beater, you don't need her. See, they talk about all the negative influence in hip hop, but Willie D put me on game. He said, if you got a beater, you don't need her. Thank you very much, Willie D. If nobody else has said thank you for that jewel, thank you, Willie D.
That's wisdom. We'll try this one on for size.
Didn't he also say back up in your ass with the resurrection?
He also made bald-headed nose.
He
All
did.
right, well, here we go.
Whatever.
You take from that what you will. I took lessons from Willie D. Y'all need to stop.
Yeah, every chapter ain't that positive, so just be careful when you're going through that book at Willie D. You might want to skip over a couple chapters.
He was able to run for office, so he must not be in too deep of water.
I'm with you when you're right. He had a post as it relates to Kanye after his White Lives Matter
Shirts.
whatever you want to call it, that you guys discussed last week.
Fiasco
is good, and he's been adding fuel to it ever since. He said Kanye West's civil rights activist mama didn't die because of a botched surgery. I think she committed. I know what he meant to say. I think she committed after realizing she had raised a self-loathing coconut.
I think he probably just meant nut, and that's just the
that's the only emoji he can use.
Emoji that he used for nut.
Oh, no. Good call. Though.
How many people you know call someone a coconut?
Hey, man, Kanye West is one big coconut.
Thank you, Long.
I guess he is maybe white in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're white,
they're
white inside.
There's a bar there.
There's always some way you can
Look at
bring
that
it
coconut
around.
emoji, man. It's white on the inside.
Right.
So maybe
buy for marketing.
It might have been a bar there, a hidden bar for Willie D.
Might have been.
Lone, talk to me, man. Is this OC? Is this out of control, man? Is this over the top?
The whole party's out of control.
Because keep in mind now, Willie D made a video responding to all the Kanye people in his inbox, and he said basically, "This is my opinion, and I should have taken it down and just said F y'all." That's what he really said. So he's not going back at any point.
Do they know who Willie D is?
They clearly don't. They clearly don't know who he is. But go ahead, Lone. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I know you know who Willie D is.
What I would say is this. Did he maybe step too far by saying that his mom died a different way?
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
But everything else, Kanye deserves what's coming to him. The way I feel about it. And, he's out there grifting the way that he is, and he's doing it, talking to Sean Hannity and everything that we talked about last week.
Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, but same person. Same person.
Jason Whitlock vouching for him on Fox
Hannity,
News.
That's when
vouching
for Kanye. That's when I know I would have gone too far. If all of a sudden,
if Jason Whitlock vouching for you,
we ain't
on
talking
Fox.
about Jason Whitlock, man.
But I'm just saying
he's an unfortunate.
Dude is a goofy.
But.
Alumni of my high school.
Yeah, but
my college.
What I was going to say, the Hannity or whoever, the Fox News guys that are just, they are who they are.
Right.
Shouts to Denny Green. But I just, I don't know. When it comes to responding to Kanye, he's putting himself out there in that way. He's inviting all of this. So, no. The only thing that I can say that he went potentially too far on is maybe bringing Kanye's mother into this.
Yeah, you can't bring mom into this.
Yeah. Go ahead, Terry, jump in on that.
Like I said before, he would be a lot more centered if he still had that peace.
I agree.
But I mean, this is Willie D talking. When Willie D talks, people listen, and he truly doesn't care what anybody thinks about what he says. So
I mean, in today's era, I knew as soon as I read it, I said, "Oh, it's rap."
I'm sorry, but Kanye is not the same Kanye, man. He's
not.
He's not. He's literally all the stuff he was rapping about earlier in his career, like what was the line? They made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. Yeah, he's on that same track.
Like he's literally
on
a Balenciaga grill. It's like right now you literally can't keep the white man out of your mouth right now.
Amen.
And you bruised your face.
I messed around because I be checking out and seeing what Kanye does. So I watched that little documentary and lost like 30 minutes of my life.
Was it even worth watching?
How stupid was that?
Man, it was a waste of time, essentially.
Okay. Was it like somebody just following him around filming and there's no focus?
So there was a portion where he's at Adidas talking to them about how they made him feel, showing them porn videos.
What?
He showed them a porn video to make them feel uncomfortable because he said that's how y'all make me feel when you steal from me, essentially.
Dang.
And then he was riding in the car rapping his whack song. Talking about y'all don't really love Ye. Go listen to Drake.
That's the
I don't.
hook.
Yes.
Nuh-uh.
Promise you. He's riding around with a whole bunch of yes men that are dope or co-signing him on this song. Like
They was gassing him in the
they
background.
was gassing him on every song he did. They was gassing him. These are
was
not good
Antonio
songs.
Brown there?
Don't do that.
He wasn't. He probably told him put that mess on though. Literally, that's his song.
Yeah,
that
that's
he loves.
unfortunate.
I mean, he's getting the attention that he seeks,
He is.
and it's marketing. Everything, all of the chaos usually happens around a release. Y'all touched on it last week.
What do you think his release is this time?
I mean, he literally on
I
the
think it's
video too,
announcing-
though.
It's-
On the video, he said, "I feel like I'm in a place now where I don't have to pretty much be the face of this anymore."
Mm.
So he says stuff like that, but then he does outlandish things.
I mean, is this all based on the release of whatever his clothing line type thing is, or
His
is it?
clothing line ain't hot though.
I think
I
it's,
rock with the shoes, but the clothing line is
So is it all? It's still
It
all
li-
that executive homeless people wear.
100%. I think it lines up. It's eerie how it lines up with the fashion drop, that the shirt dropped on the same time. That's
nobody
no
want that shirt,
coincidence in
man.
my opinion.
No, that's absolutely intentional.
You know what I'm saying?
My thing is like, what else is he trying to?
With the
he thinks that he's like the super smartest person in the world, right? And he's got all these super-
2024 election run.
That's
I think
that's
it.
kind of what I'm thinking too, because he had
Yeah.
the hat. You know what I mean? And I guess maybe for the show, just to see like, will the Republicans fully get behind him? And we saw Tucker Carlson, as you said, like literally interview him, and it almost seemed like Tucker Carlson was like wetting his pants when he was saying certain things. Like he was getting so excited.
There's a montage. Go
This
ahead,
is
Terry.
the thing with Republicans and black people. Anybody black that co-signs the Republican side of things, they're going to put you on a pedestal in order to try to recruit more black people to come over to that side.
I agree with
That's
that.
the reason why they have freaking frack.
Those two ladies.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, Bebop and Rocksteady. Co-signing and inviting them to all their events, because if people see a black face, then they're comfortable with supporting them, or they want to just follow suit. I mean, me personally, I don't like what the Democrats are doing. I don't like what the Republicans are doing either, but I'm not going to openly just be like, I'm a Republican
Right.
just because somebody black is, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, kind of get back to what we're talking about. Like I thought Willie D went entirely too far
Okay.
to say, his mother transitioned because she didn't want to be around her son. That was too much, Willie D.
I can't vouch
You
for
know
that.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
You
can't
know,
vouch for
and-
that.
I kind of like the fact that he went as sensational as
But
Kanye
he went,
did.
yeah. But you know what? He went,
That's
yeah,
true.
and he took a page from Kanye's book.
He actually said that too.
Oh,
but-
really?
Oh,
He
okay.
said y'all. He said y'all reacted. Now I don't want to misquote, but he said y'all react to Kanye doing XYZ, but then when I do XYZ, it's a different response. He did say something to that effect.
But any other criticism of Kanye, he has to understand that this is where he's brought this on himself, and he's only making it worse. It's like he's trying to alienate. He's like, okay, I'll go over here and I'll say what I think I need to say, and I'll alienate these people. But then I need these people to have my back when I'm going through this particular situation. So I'll run back over here and say,
He's playing hopscotch.
yeah. And then when I feel victimized again over here, I can run back over to Fox News, and then I can run a Drink Champs, and then I'll,
Just to show everybody I'm still for the culture.
the Breakfast Club interview is coming soon.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
I mean, come on now. It's
I
just-
wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
The way the
wouldn't doubt it.
cyclical nature.
I thought you meant-
I'm sure they've reached out to him.
No. What I'm saying
because,
is,
like I said, anybody who says, "Oh yeah, we off yay," when that interview opportunity comes,
They play the
gonna
numbers
be-
game
no,
like
I thought you were
anybody
being
else.
like serious. No, I can
No,
definitely see him going on there.
he's going, and then he's going to try to say, this is what it is, and this is when he's going to try to, get back at good graces of, black entertainment culture, and he's going to bring up the Kardashians and what they did to him,
To his
and
black
how
kids.
and how Adidas is an evil white corporation that took his shoe
You shouldn't have
designs.
signed with him.
But then when he feels like once again we on his head a little bit, he'll run back over and have a part two
he
of Tucker
also
Carlson.
He also blamed some of his mental health issues and his breakdown on Louis Vuitton backing out of their deal with him.
Why is everything based? Or why is his
Because
what
white
is his
was once again
infatuation with
because
white
white
people in fashion
acceptance
accepting him?
is basically his entire existence.
And it's
I've never
crazy.
seen anything
and
like
that's
it.
true. But then he'll say some stuff like that, but then he'll rewind and say, because over in Paris, it's a lot more racist and things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? How can you say this
but
and you
you
want to
over
be
there.
aligned with it, but it's like this and you don't agree with it?
Well, there's a simple answer to all this, and it's something we've touched on in the past. He's just simply a narcissist. He's simply a narcissist who's got mental health issues, and everything that he does is based upon his narcissism. Even this latest stunt is literally based upon the fact that he's a narcissist. It's literally
he
what it
pretty much
is.
was saying everybody's wearing Black Lives Matter shirts. People are wearing it, and that company is not real or whatnot, and they're fake. And so I made a White Lives Matter just to answer that. So he was pretty much saying he didn't make the shirt in order to just say that he's about to go on this rant about why White Lives Matter. He just did it to spite people wearing Black Lives Matter shirts.
But he does. But also,
That's still stupid.
What he doesn't understand, or he refuses to understand, because he wants to be provocative and be talked about, is white people saying White Lives Matter. That is a racist reaction to black people saying, "Hey, our marginalization in this culture and our mistreatment by the police needs to stop." But there are just white people who like see something. A lot of times, I feel like white people feel like anytime they feel like they're being left out, you know, their reaction is like, "Well, what about us? White lives matter too." We know your lives matter.
It's the same.
Like,
when have they ever not?
Like, there was a situation in the news, and I
mattered?
know some of you seen it, maybe
He
some
said
of you
that
didn't.
too.
And I'm gonna
That's
just
what's
break
crazy.
it down without giving you too many details, because we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But there was a white teenager in the past 7 days who was sitting in his car eating a hamburger. Cop ran up on him. And, you know, he wasn't committing any crime, and the cop shot him as he was fleeing 4 times. He wasn't, you know, but you know what? And he survived. Thank goodness he survived that encounter. But you know what? The cop was fired immediately. They didn't have to call the feds.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go back and forth with the police union.
Right.
They fired this police officer
Immediately. Wow.
immediately for shooting
Imagine
an unarmed white teenager who wasn't committing a crime.
There was no press conference on the court steps with his parents or anything
there
like
wasn't.
that?
Well, they didn't have to do any due diligence because it
now,
happened.
when Tamir
like it was
Rice
supposed to.
was shot,
Mhm.
you know, they keep trying to give the cop who shot Tamir Rice another job.
Yeah.
Even though when he was on the Cleveland Police Department, basically he tried to get a job, his initial police job, and his supervisor said he is not mentally stable enough to carry a service weapon.
Yeah.
But he kept applying to police departments until they just stopped asking the question. And then after being on the job for 6 or 7 months, he winds up killing Tamir Rice. After he was, you know, let go or whatever happened to him. Like, he has reapplied to be a police officer several times, and like he's gotten the job until somebody finds out who he is.
That's
Like,
crazy.
so it's like they are going out of their way to make sure this cop that killed Tamir Rice gets another job. But I'm telling you, as soon as this white kid was shot, they didn't have to have any press conferences. They didn't look. They were like, "No, you can't be out here shooting unarmed white teenagers who are just trying to enjoy a hamburger.
We sending you
You're
home
fired
right now. I'm
today.
sending you home right now.
No discussion."
Yeah.
So
the irony.
So, you know, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, that's what we're talking about. So when you say White Lives Matter, you don't have to tell us that, because we see it every day. And there's a stone cold example of why White Lives
You
Matter.
said Kanye said that as well?
Yeah.
He
Folks know
acknowledged that
better.
as well?
It's the elephant in the room. Everybody knows that.
I feel you. I feel you.
It's-
I mean, it's obvious to me. It's common sense to me.
It's
Like,
the same. The White Lives Matter stuff with the Black Lives Matters is a direct relate. I saw this literally today in something. It's directly proportional to like the Black Power movement and the White Power movement as
Right.
well. It means kind of the same thing.
Well,
So-
that's what the Black Power Party was essentially
Black Panther
policing.
Party.
Yeah, that's
Panther.
what I meant. Black Panther Party was essentially policing their own neighborhoods and creating resources for the black community.
right.
They weren't built to be against white people. They're pretty much built to be uplifting to each other, to pretty much rise up and be able to live in the world and coexist with white folks.
if you think about the Judas and the Messiah, the movie,
He was in Black Messiah, yes.
Black Messiah. Sorry, thank you. They did a good job of showing the breakfast programs, the food programs, all the stuff that was to his point that was positive, that went along with that. And I think sometimes people just look at, oh, they're militant, and they don't really realize what it was based off, what the foundation was, and what
They have horse blinders on the same. It's the exact same issue with Black Lives Matter, regardless if it's the organization or not.
Right.
It was about the movement of pretty much bringing attention to what's going on versus the actual organization may have been. I don't know exactly what they did.
One of y'all said, I can't remember.
Well,
who
it started
was.
by 2 women, right? You talking about Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was been a while since I've looked into it, but I believe it was by 2 women, and the focal point of it was to address police brutality against Black people.
One of y'all said, I think it might have been Jay.
Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, if I'm wrong, I mean,
no, it's just.
I think there were some other things in there too.
Well, I feel the thing is like it's all deeply rooted in white supremacy. So a lot of times when I look at this, I kind of take it a step further and see Black Lives Matter as just part of like addressing white supremacy in the United States of America or in the world. So
what we talked about earlier about the lazy approach of, Terry made a good point about this last week, of focusing on the corruption or whatever you want to call it for the organization versus what you just talked about, what the actual goal was, and how lazy that can be sometimes. 'Cause I hear a lot of people go right towards the organization and skip over, what it was initially founded for and what the goals were for.
But even still, I feel like organizations get a bad rap sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, who's to say that the organization isn't doing decent things? I mean,
That's fair.
there's
That's
still
fair.
there's still people
Yeah,
that are a part of it.
That's fair.
Well, and
This is what I see from an analysis standpoint. You see people tend to go towards.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to pick on individuals.
Yeah,
Thank
it's easy to pick on individuals as
Thank
opposed to actually addressing the mission statement.
Right.
But it's just like when you talk about, the quote unquote Black power or Black life. Anytime you put Black in front of something, it just scares a certain segment of the population because there are a lot of white people who are afraid. And this is maybe they won't say it out loud, but I'll say it out loud for them.
Okay.
There are a lot of white people who are afraid that instead of wanting justice, one day Black people are going to want revenge.
That's tough.
Okay, and they feel like if Black people get in a certain position of power or we gain enough political power or whatever, we're going to do to them what they've done to us. And the thing is, I'm not saying that there aren't some Black people who have that in their heart, but a majority of Black people in this country, we just want our fair shake. We just want things to be fair. And unfortunately, when when we say, hey, we would like the police to treat everybody fairly. Unfortunately, the reaction by the police has been like, okay, we'll start shooting and beating up white people too.
Right.
Instead of saying, okay, we're going to stop this biased behavior.
I'll meet you in the middle.
Yeah, we'll meet you in the middle, and
it's always the polar opposite of what's meant. Even with the whole defund the police thing, it wasn't about getting rid of police.
Right.
But
it was about not paying for certain things until they do right by the whole community.
Well, that you got to understand, especially in places like New York, where the police have a blank check. Okay, now they've been cutting educational services, mental health services,
in the whole country.
Yeah, and so when they talk about defunding the police, it's like we don't want to defund the police, but we just can't continue to give them a blank check. And one part of the blank check is whenever, say, they hit somebody in the side of the head who didn't deserve it, and then that person gets, $1.5 million, people say, oh, well, we got the police on this one. No, you didn't. You got the city where the police work. No. And so that $1.5 million never comes out of, like, they're still going to give the police all of their money.
Sure.
But now that $1.5 million comes out as like, oh, well, why can't we fix these potholes? Hey. Well, we had to pay $1.5 million to somebody because the police did this. Well, why can't we give teachers in this particular municipality a raise? Well, because we got to pay for more. And don't get me wrong, like this is the hard part. Being someone who runs a business, also, like I see it on several different levels, because honestly, the police in certain communities are they're understaffed. But part of the problem with police misconduct is when the police are in the wrong, it doesn't come out of their money. It's not like when you're a doctor and you make a mistake and there's some sort of malpractice insurance that covers it. It's always the city that covers it. And we're in a position to where like we just can't continue to write the police blank checks for their misbehavior.
Which is why the abolish the police movement was kind of created, because people are saying you can't fix these issues from within.
Right.
Is the argument here.
Exactly.
Like you can't fix these particular things by just like putting band-aids on them. It's like you need to dismantle the police and then restructure it somehow.
Did you have a thought, man? I want you
to
I mean,
essentially is them paying the payment is pretty much the bandage. All right, we paid for it. But I'm still showing you where I stand and what I can and will do. So I will murder your baby and give you $1.5 million, and everybody have an uproar, and then we'll wait 6-7 months, maybe a year, and then we'll do it again. It's just pretty much a cycle of showing you that we're going to keep doing this regardless of how much money we're going to pay out, because money doesn't matter when you lost somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Well, think about it like this. If you are, just say you work at McDonald's, okay, and the shipment of quarter pounders comes in, and you're in charge of that, and you decide, okay, well, I'll get to it when I get to it, and you wind up doing something else, and you wind up leaving all the quarter pounders in the back parking lot, and they all go bad. Now, does your negligence just to them? They would fire you in a minute.
Yeah, it's a wrap for you.
It's a wrap for you. Just because you cost the company money, time, and potentially somebody getting sick. Yeah. So you're fired, and you'll probably never work at McDonald's again. Now, if your violent negligence causes the death or the maiming or the degradation of the quality of life of somebody because you couldn't control yourself, if you're a police officer, you think that would and you cost your employer, which is the city, say $3 million, and you don't get to keep your job. You're not. No, I don't understand. In any other corporate situation,
everybody gets sent home.
You would get if you worked for any corporation and you cost them $3 million due to your violent negligence, you would not be able to keep your job. But when you're a police officer, it's like, hey, what can we do?
Bro, I've seen people get popped off for way less than that and making errors for working in corporate situations and jobs. You can mess around and send the wrong email to somebody and get popped off.
Yeah, you can get fired for being late.
You can get fired for being tardiness.
But once again,
you kill somebody and be put on leave, administrative leave.
But there was and I wish I knew the name, and I just happened to see it on my son's Instagram. Shout out to him. Where the police killed a woman who was having a mental episode, because we always want, and because
the cop got off,
and the cop was like, he's like, well, we know he killed her, but
and this is where
what can we do?
This is where defund the police kind of originated from. So instead of
we'll pay the family.
Oh, they're gonna get a bag.
Instead of allocating these funds directly towards police, let's allocate them towards different types of entities that can handle different situations where police aren't necessarily necessary to be involved.
There are places in this country that have said if someone's having a mental
don't
breakdown,
call the police. Call somebody else.
We have actually funded and created a situation where because the thing is, you don't call people with guns to try to help someone who's having a mental episode.
Agreed.
Because the only thing they know how to do is respond with guns to somebody who's might be, naked in the middle of the street waving a knife.
Lone just said it. They're not even trained to deal with people that have that.
If you can't deal with somebody, like if you've never worked with somebody who has some sort of deep emotional disability or something like that, to understand the different levels that people can escalate to.
Yeah.
And you don't address it at the root, as opposed to just shooting somebody. Like you shouldn't. The police, and that's what actually kind of, like, at first when I heard defund the police, I was like, what do they mean? But then I got explained to me. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Just
allocate those resources
to other entities that can actually like handle those type of situations, like a mental episode where we don't have police officers running in shooting people up.